Good morning, everybody. Everybody. It's our pleasure to be here. Thank you very much for coming to see our presentation. I'll tell you briefly what we're going to talk about, then talk about it, then hand over to my colleague David, who's our science expert, who will validate what I'm talking about, and then critically, at the end, we'll talk about what it means to the people in the room here. So, about Labskin, what we do, our virtual lab, who we work with, and some of the people. So Labskin essentially is the science behind product claims in cosmetics and personal care products. We work with large brands, people like Boots, L'Oreal, L'Occitane, and others. And we offer them a testing platform on our human skin equivalent. And in essence, we give them the scientific data to prove that their products are safe. And we believe that in the CBD space, this is going to become critically important in the next sort of 18, 24 months. And I've got a provocative question. You know, how many people in the room here are going to be ready for regulation and will have a sustainable business model that will stand up to regulation? We're here to help solve that problem for you. We're the only commercially available human skin equivalent that's really effective for personal care and cosmetic testing. And that's based on a 12-year experience, a very, very mature and deeply scientifically grounded product, which performs better than anything else on the market. In summary, our services are obviously animal-free testing, which is critically important. Big announcement a couple of days ago by the EPA in the US, indicating a really aggressive drive to remove animal testing from the sector. We have the advanced human skin model that David's going to talk about testing on. We're working with cosmetics, skincare, pharmaceutical companies. And I suppose our summary value proposition would be, we shorten the clinical trial and the R&D development timeline and costing. So let me hand you over to David. Now, David is going to give you a lot of science. There won't be an exam at the end. We won't be asking questions, but we will ask you to come to our stand if you want detail. We're just over there on F101. So you don't have to, get this fully. David's going to validate the offering, and then we'll talk about what it means to you in the room for CBD products. So let me hand over to David.
Thank you, Paul. Well, sorry, I'm still finding. Okay. As Paul said, Labskin is a skin model developed with human cells. And it's a very good model because it allows us to colonize it with human bacteria, so the bacteria that lives in our skin. We make that resemble closely to the human skin. So as Paul said, I have here loads of data to show, but Sunday morning, I'm going to be gentle. And when I'm going to try to be gentle with the data and don't scare you too much. Basically, I'm going to start with a little research they have done in the literature that look at the evidence to back all claims with CBD. And the first thing that you can see in here is a Google search with different drugs, CBD, THC, cocaine, interferon. And it's quite clearly here that there is a bit of a hype on CBD. Even comparing with well-established drugs such as antimicrobials like penicillin or anti-tumoral drugs like interferon. These series also point to what are people's priorities, really. THC and cocaine, but no penicillin and interferon. Anyway, if we look at research publications by scientists using a database, we can see that the numbers of publications on CBD is quite small. compared with other well-established drugs. And that brings the issue of bogus claims on this field. Basically, the FDA has been issuing warnings to several companies, telling them you cannot claim that CBD cure cancer, you cannot claim that CBD help with Alzheimer's or Parkinson or some other disease. Good news is the interest in science is there. So if we look at the number of publications in the last 20 years, although the total numbers are low, the increase in research has been skyrocketing. And of course, there is hard evidence of certain claims that can be done with CBD already, like antibacterial effect on certain pathogens. This is from the 70s. It's 40 years ago. So we know that we can claim certain things. Actually, a couple of months ago, a company from Australia has published a phase 1 clinical trial where they demonstrate that their product, their formulation with CBD, has antimicrobial, anti-inflammatory effects. So the research is being done, but I think it's still too little. Keep looking at evidence. This is Cochrane Library. Cochrane Library, what they do themselves is make reviews of all clinical trials available around. They have done 18 in cannabinoids, not only CBD, but in cannabinoids. I'm not going to show you everything, but just give you a little flavor of what is around. Cannabinoids in epilepsy, you can see the conclusions, not reliable, a small number of patients. I need to update this because yesterday in The Guardian was an article where they saw that a hospital here in UK demonstrates some good effects on epilepsy in kids. Crohn's disease, uncertain results, low number of patients. Ulcerative colitis, uncertain, further studies needed with larger number of patients. So I think you know where this is going. Chronic pain, the results might be awaited for the potential harms, a small sample size. Fortunately, there is also reviews that highlight the potential wide range of CBD in a number of pathologies. And that's encouraging. But this review also points to the need of more research done in this field. Of course, all what I have shown here are systemic illnesses. So it might be that doesn't relate quite closely to what we do in Labskin, which is topical formulation. But actually, the conclusions are exactly the same. We have poor evidence in pharmacokinetics or pharmacodynamics of CBD. The dosing range of those reviews, if you look at this, is from 1 milligram to 50 milligram. This is a huge dosage range. So the dose has to be refined to make sure what works and what wasn't. Not enough patients are more clinical trials. And here is where Labskin comes to the rescue. Because we have developed a skin model that, together with the cloning of the microbiome is all the bacteria that live in our skin. So we are able to make it very, very similar to human skin. That way, we will shorten the time and money from preclinical to clinical trials. The way we do this is we isolate the microbes from people and put them in our Labskin. And we can do that in replication. So that means one volunteer can become 10 volunteers from the same background. I'm going to show you how we compare this data, but I'm not going to enter into detail. It's quite complex, but basically let you know that the samples A and B here are the original samples from volunteer, and we use different indexes to demonstrate that the remaining samples are similar to the original one. So basically they are stable in our Labskin. We can look at all different things, like how they cluster together depending on time, on condition 1 and condition 2. But basically, all that I just saw can be concluded in here. The sample 1 and 2 are two isolates from 2 people, and we put those on Labskin. and the highlighted samples here are the most similar to the original one. So we end with a skin that contains microbes from human. How we use this? Well, as I will say before, we can test a number of things. We can test cosmetic creams, for instance, an anti-inflammatory effect. As you can see here, some formulations containing CBD produce less inflammation. This is a marker of inflammation. Produce less inflammation than the positive control with this rapeseed oil. We can do anti-aging or skin conditioning, looking at the production of a very well-known marker of skin conditioning, procollagen. And again, formulations containing CBD produce more procollagen. We can look at hydration of the skin, moisturization, using different probes, but I will show you the normalized data that show that a serum and a mask increase the hydration, the amount of water inside of the skin. And then microbes influence that hydration. Of course, we are experts in skin microbiology, so we can do study antimicrobials. For instance, against a bacteria which is related to eczema, and formulations with CBD reduce that bacteria. It seems small here, but actually this is a 90% reduction. We can look at the bacteria growing on top of the skin. We can do the same for fungi. This is Atlas food fungi using different drugs and different treatment regimes. Again, we can see the fungi on top of the skin. And in this case, additionally, we look at the drug, how the drug penetrates and is absorbed through the skin. We can do this also for CBD. Another antifungal, this is dandruff, testing anti-dandruff shampoos. Again, different conditions, different test regimes. And again, we can look and see the Gs, the purple little balls on top of the skin as they're growing. Additionally to all of this, we have been testing tampons infused with CBD, and we have done that to get our clients approval to access the market in the United States. So it's a FDA preclinical approval. And basically, we need to demonstrate how the tampons affect the growth of bacteria on the vagina. Pathogens like aureus and E. coli, but also good guys like acidophilus, which is well known to be a good guy in the vagina. The pH of the vagina, how the tampons affect that. And the production of toxin by one of the pathogens, that is the cause of the deadly toxic shock syndrome. So you need to demonstrate that your tampon is not going to cause toxic shock syndrome. We can do that also for other pathogens like Candida albicans. We look here how one of the virulence factors are increased depending on the tampons. So in summary, Labskin is an established, robust human skin equivalent, a human model. We can put microbes from volunteers on top of it. That microbiome can stay consistent for at least 7 days. So we can replicate volunteers and do multiple tests. And we also offer a portal of visualization and machine learning, artificial intelligence technology, which Paul is going to talk now about.
Now, did we all get all of that? Are we ready for questions? I think some of the interesting things to point out there are that we have observed and tested scientifically positive impacts of CBD in products already. And in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip back to a slide just to tell you a little bit about our experience in CBD. So we've been engaged in this area for about 18 months across a number of projects. Initially with some of our own products, because Labskin is part of a larger group called Integument PLC. It's a publicly quoted company. The CEO, in fact, Jerry Brandon, is here. Jerry, if you'd wave to the folks and make yourself available for follow-up. So we've tested CBD formulation on our own products and on third-party products. We've got research in train with a company across 8 different products, from ointments to lip balms, and that's rolling through this year and next year. Why is this? This is because regulation is inexorably catching up with the CBD industry. And we think that the same or similar standards that are applied to cosmetics and therapeutics will end up being applied to CBD. And it is our proposition to you that in order to be sustainable, CBD companies need to be thinking about preparation for regulation and having a solid data set that will convince regulators and partners and potentially co-investors and collaborators that your products are safe and product claims can be safely made. So let me forward to where I should be, which talks about the Labskin AI platform, which is the platform that we use to visualize and share this test data, and we hope will be of relevance to you. So Labskin's historical business basis was the supply of our human skin equivalent to customers who would take it into their labs and use it to test their products. We've pivoted over the last 15, 16 months, Jerry. We're now delivering services to our customers. So you ship us your formulations, we test, and we make the data available to you in an easily consumed manner, so that your product development people, your scientists and your salespeople can all see what's going on with the formulations you're proposing. How do we do this? Well, we've acquired. Being part of a PLC gives us the financial capability to bring in the tooling that we need. So we acquired a company out of Cambridge with specific expertise in AI. And essentially we're merging their technology and Labskin to create this test capability. Again, this is deeply scientifically validated. They had done various large-scale studies. So we're convinced that we've bought a technology that's relevant and proven and mature. And we're now offering this platform to our larger companies, our larger customers, some of whom I can't name under NDAs, but I've mentioned Boots, I've mentioned L'Oreal, I've mentioned L'Occitane. Some of the customers that we engage with are the people who make products that are found in households all around the world every day. You would be familiar with these names, Procter & Gamble. These companies are looking at what's going on in the CBD space. They will engage here, but only with proven, scientifically backed products. They're looking for the leaders. It is our theory that they will acquire and promote, but they're not going to be engaging with people who haven't taken the proper care on their product. And that's what the Labskin AI platform is going to allow us to do. I won't bore you with too much of a tech talk about enterprise software, but essentially what we're looking at is a secure, collaborative platform where test results can be shared privately with your people and also your third-party collaborators. This, by the way, has a side benefit for us. It's allowing us to build a digital microbiome. What we're essentially doing here is gathering the data that will allow companies to test in a sort of a quick, fail, fast win approach what sort of formulations are going to work on human skin. This is already working. I'm going to flash through some screens here. It's being availed of and used by our customers right now. And they're excited by the speed of development in R&D it's going to grant them. And we're sharing demo accounts and demo data with people who want that. So talk to me on the stand about that if you wish. It's secure data vaults, all the raw data, all completely accessible. What will it allow us to do? In addition to extending our test capability, we're going to be able to build a knowledge depository behind this, which you can use to educate your staff. So all the good stuff that you see here, the capability for product material, deep training, workshopping, all of that is supported by the platform. But I suppose the critical point here is on the bottom right, suitable ingredients. This is shortening the route for R&D to finding the right mix for product, which is the journey that everyone wants shortened. This is our office. Not all of it, but our labs are based here in Naffic in York in the UK. We're doubling in size. We recently announced that we're increasing both our physical facilities and our staff, and this is in response to customer demand. We're seeing a large uptake on this from substantially sized customers. As I mentioned, we can't name people under NDA, but there's a sort of a representative sample. We have a blend of academic co-collaborators where we can access state-of-the-art research facilities, and then some of the larger cosmetic and personal care products. For the CBD sector, we're hoping to take our demonstrated competence and work with the brands that are taking a careful and sustainable approach to their product to be regulation ready. We've dipped our toe in the water here to look at the pulse of what you are saying to us, to gather sentiment, to understand what your needs are. And we are, I think, pleased and convinced that there are brands here that we would hope to work with. So we would encourage you to talk to us after this presentation, and we'll reach out to the people who have a specific need. We're going to put together specific pricing, because obviously for the CBD sector, you want to know, what does this mean for me and what does it mean for me now? So we're going to package up a set of standard tests, particularly for ointments, creams, balms, and we're going to make it available to those that we engage with here. And we very much hope that we're going to have a long working relationship with some of you as customers. Quick scan at some of the folks. That's David with some of his team in York. Also to let you know that we have a serious commercial and sales management capability. Some of the people here just flashing names at you, but we are experienced in enterprise solutions. I come from the software side. We've got the science side. We know how to engage with large customers. We know how to account manage and achieve your goals for you. And we very much look forward to talking to you. If there are questions, we'd be happy to take them.
Any questions? Any questions? I have one, Paul, if it's okay. What's this going to cost? I know, okay, it's a product, it's a lip balm, it's a cream, it's something. From a retailing point of view, what's it going to cost someone to buy a lip balm, do you think, after you've packaged everything up?
So, our commercial engagement with customers would normally start about the £25,000 sterling level for a series of standard tests on a product. Our larger engagements, which are framework contracts with the big brands, could run into the 100,000 sterling plus levels. We're going to put together a standard test package for CBD, which I think will be of the order of 50,000 sterling. But that's going to be determined by customer demand, so please talk to us and we'll communicate it back to potential customers after the event.
Okay. Anyone have any questions? No? Thank you, Paul. Thank you, David.
Thanks very much.